The torch flickered as Queen Alara descended the spiral staircase into the palace dungeons. The air grew colder with each step, thick with the smell of mold and something worse, blood and decay. She had ruled for only 3 months since her husband's death, and already she was discovering secrets he had kept from her. The head guard had tried to stop her at the top of the stairs, his face pale with fear, but she pushed past him. Whatever was down here, she needed to see it. The moaning started when she reached the bottom level. It was weak, almost inhuman, coming from the deepest cell. Alara raised her torch and froze. Chained to the wall was a young woman, or something that had once been a woman. Her skin was covered in burns and cuts, some fresh, others scarred over. She was thin enough that every rib showed through torn clothing, but it was her eyes that made Alara's breath catch. Vertical pupils, gleaming gold even in the darkness, set in a face streaked with dried blood. "Dragon," Alara whispered. The creature's eyes focused on her with effort. "Come to watch me die, human? You're late. I've been dying for years." Alara stepped closer to the bars. The woman's wrists were raw where the iron chains had bitten into them. One of her legs was bent at an unnatural angle, never properly set. "Who did this to you? Your people? Your husband? Does it matter?" The dragon girl coughed, and blood appeared on her lips. "Just leave me alone. What's your name?" The question seemed to surprise her. For a long moment, she just stared. "Kira." "Not that it matters anymore." Alara turned and shouted up the stairs. "Guard! Get the physician and the blacksmith. Now." "Your Majesty, you can't..." The guard started. "I am your queen. Move!" She turned back to Kira, who was watching her with something between confusion and suspicion. "I'm getting you out of here." "Why?" Kira's voice was barely a whisper. "Because no one deserves this. The physician arrived first, an elderly man named Frederick who blanched when he saw what awaited him in the cell. The blacksmith came next, carrying tools to break the chains." Alara watched as they worked, her jaw set with determination despite the protests from her guards. When the chains finally fell away, Kira collapsed forward. She would have hit the stone floor if Alara hadn't caught her. "Get her to my chambers," Alara commanded. "The guest room beside mine. My queen, the council will never..." "The council answers to me, not the other way around." Kira was unconscious by the time they laid her on the bed. Frederick worked through the night, setting bones and stitching wounds. Alara stayed the entire time, dismissing servants who came to fetch her for various urgent matters. Nothing was more urgent than this. When dawn broke through the windows, Frederick finally stepped back. "She'll live, but recovery will take months, maybe longer. I've never treated one of her kind before. Will she be in pain? Considerable pain, yes. I've left medicine, but her metabolism is different from ours. I can't be certain how it'll affect her." Alara nodded. "How it could have slipped outside of our perimeters. Thank you, Frederick. And not a word of this to anyone." "That's a royal command." After he left, Alara sat in the chair beside the bed. Kira's face was clean now, revealing features that were striking despite the bruising. High cheekbones, full lips, skin that had a faint iridescent quality when the light hit it right. She looked young, maybe 20, though Alara knew dragons age differently than humans. Kira's eyes opened slowly, those gold pupils contracting in the morning light. She looked around the room in confusion, taking in the silk curtains, the carved furniture, the vase of fresh flowers on the table. Then her gaze found Alara. "This is a trick," Kira said, her voice hoarse. "You're going to make me hope, then send me back down there. No trick. You're free. Free." Kira laughed, and it turned into a cough that shook her whole body. "There's no such thing as free for someone like me. Not in your world." Alara poured water from a pitcher and held the cup to Kira's lips. The dragon girl flinched at first, then drank desperately. "What happened to you?" Alara asked gently. "How did you end up here?" Kira closed her eyes. For a moment, Alara thought she wouldn't answer. Then, quietly, she began to speak. "I was young, stupid. I fell in love with a human merchant who traded with my clan. When they found out, they called me a traitor, cast me out. I tried to make a life in the human kingdoms, but your people feared me. Your husband's men captured me 5 years ago. They said I was a spy, a threat. They threw me in that cell and forgot about me. 5 years, Alara breathed. I'm so sorry. Why do you care? Kira's eyes opened again, searching Alara's face. You're human. I'm a monster to your kind. You're not a monster. You're a person who's been hurt. Tears formed in Kira's golden eyes. Don't be kind to me. I don't know how to survive kindness anymore. Over the following weeks, Alara visited Kira every day. She brought food herself, not trusting servants who might poison it or spread rumors. At first, Kira barely ate, as if she'd forgotten how. Alara would sit and talk to her about simple things, the weather, the gardens, a book she was reading. Slowly, Kira began to respond, then to ask questions, then to smile. The transformation was subtle but profound. Color returned to Kira's skin. Her wounds healed, leaving silver scars that gleamed like scales. She began to walk again, though she limped from the poorly healed leg. Alara noticed other changes too. The way Kira's eyes would track movement with predatory precision. How her fingernails were more like claws, the small horns that curved back from her temples, usually hidden beneath her dark hair. One evening, as they shared dinner in Kira's room, the dragon girl finally asked the question Alara had been waiting for. Why are you really doing this? Alara set down her fork. My husband was not a good man. I didn't love him. Our marriage was political, but I thought he was at least honorable. Finding you in those dungeons showed me how wrong I was. I can't change what he did, but I can try to make it right. You're risking everything for me. Your advisors must be furious. They are. Lord Vance especially. He comes to my chambers daily to demand I execute you, or at least return you to the dungeons. Kira's expression hardened. Maybe you should listen to him. Never. Alara. It was the first time Kira had used her name without the title. You don't understand what you're protecting. I'm dangerous. My kind, we're not like you. We have power you can't imagine. Rage that burns hotter than any forge. There's a reason your people fear us. I don't fear you. You should. But Kira's voice was soft, almost sad. That night, Alara couldn't sleep. She paced her chambers, thinking about Kira's words. Around midnight, she heard a sound from the hallway. Hushed voices, too quiet, too furtive. She pressed her ear to the door. Tonight. The poison is in her evening tea already. By morning the queen will be dead, and we can restore order. And the dragon will say she did it. Kill her too. No one will question it. Alara's blood ran cold. She recognized Lord Vance's voice. She had to warn someone. Had to. Her door burst open. Kira stood there in her nightgown, eyes blazing with fury. Get back, she hissed at Alara. Kira, what? 3 men rushed into the room, led by Lord Vance. He held a dagger, its blade gleaming with something dark. So the beast has teeth, after all? No matter. We'll kill you both. Kira moved faster than any human could. She grabbed a candlestick and swung it like a club, catching one assassin across the temple. He dropped instantly. The second man lunged at her with a sword, but despite her limp, she ducked under the blade and drove her clawed hand into his throat. He fell, gurgling. Lord Vance grabbed Alara, pressing his poisoned dagger to her neck. Call off your monster, your majesty, or I'll end this now. Kira froze, her golden eyes locked on the blade. Alara could feel the poison burning her skin where it touched. Let her go, Kira said, her voice low and dangerous. Take me instead. No, Alara gasped. Such touching loyalty, Vance sneered. From a creature that betrayed its own kind for a human lover. You're pathetic. Something changed in Kira's eyes. They began to glow brighter, and her body started to shift. Scales rippled across her skin, her fingers elongated into true claws. Small wings, damaged and scarred, unfurled from her back. "I," said she growled, her voice deeper now, resonating with inhuman power. Let her go. Vance's hand trembled. The dagger slipped. Alara seized the moment and drove her elbow into his gut, then rolled away. Kira was on him in an instant. slamming him against the wall hard enough to crack the stone. "You will never touch her again," she snarled. Guards poured into the room, summoned by the noise. They stopped dead at the sight of Kira's partial transformation. Alara stood quickly, forcing authority into her voice. "Arrest Lord Vance and his men. They attempted to murder their queen." "But, Your Majesty, the dragon saved my life. Anyone who questions that can join Vance in the dungeons." Kira slowly released Vance, letting him crumple to the floor. Her body shifted back to mostly human form, though her breathing was ragged. "Alara, Thank you," Alara said simply. She took Kira's hand, ignoring the scales that still covered it. "Thank you for saving me." The trial was swift. Vance confessed under interrogation, revealing a conspiracy that reached deep into the council. Alara purged the traitors ruthlessly, replacing them with advisors who at least feared her enough to be honest. Through it all, Kira remained at her side, a silent guardian that no one dared question. But their peace was short-lived. The dragon envoy arrived on a morning 3 weeks later. 5 dragons in full battle form landed in the palace courtyard, their massive wings creating winds that shattered windows. They shifted to human form as Alara emerged to meet them, flanked by her guards. Kira stood behind her, her face pale with fear. The leader was a tall woman with silver hair and eyes like molten gold. "I am Vera, voice of the matriarch. We have come for the traitor Kira." "Kira is under my protection," Alara said firmly. "She's committed no crime in my kingdom. She betrayed her own kind. The sentence is death. Surrender her, or we will take her by force." "No." Vera's eyes narrowed. "You would go to war with the dragon clans for one outcast?" "I would." A ripple of shock went through both the dragons and Alara's own advisors. Kira stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Please, don't do this. I'll go with them. I won't let you sacrifice your kingdom for me." Alara grabbed her arm. "No, I won't let them take you." "You don't understand," Kira whispered urgently. "They'll destroy everything. Your entire kingdom will burn." Vera smiled coldly. "The girl speaks truth. We give you 3 days to reconsider, human queen. 3 days to surrender her, or we will reduce your palace to ash and everyone in it to bones." The dragons shifted and took flight, their roars shaking the very foundations of the castle. As they disappeared into the clouds, Alara's advisors erupted in panic. "Your Majesty, you must see reason. We cannot fight dragons. We must give them what they want." "She's not a thing to be given," Alara snapped, "and I will not condemn an innocent person to death." That night, Alara found Kira packing a small bag in her room. "What are you doing?" "Leaving. I'll slip out before dawn. By the time they realize I'm gone, I'll be far enough away that they won't blame you." "And where will you go?" "They'll hunt you forever. Then I'll run forever. It's better than watching you die for me." Kira's voice broke. "Why are you doing this? Why risk everything?" "Because you're my friend," Alara said simply. "And because what they're doing is wrong. You deserve to live your life free, Kira. Not running, not hiding, not caged in a dungeon. Free." Kira sat on the bed, tears streaming down her face. "No one has ever fought for me before. My own clan abandoned me. The man I loved disappeared when things got dangerous. You're the first person who's ever stayed." Alara sat beside her. "Then let me fight for you now. There might be a way." "What way? You can't defeat dragons in battle." "No, but I've been reading your people's histories. There's an old law, isn't there? Single combat. If I challenge the matriarch directly, she has to accept or lose honor before her own clans." Kira's eyes widened in horror. "You'll die." "The matriarch is over 1,000 years old. She's fought in hundreds of battles. You're human. You'd last seconds against her. Maybe. But it will buy time. And it might make them see that humans can be honorable too. That we're not all like the ones who hurt you." "This is insane, probably. But I'm doing it anyway. I need you to teach me. Teach me your customs, your combat rituals. Teach me how to face her with honor." For the next 2 days, Kira trained Alara in the ancient ways of dragon combat. It was brutal, exhausting work. Dragons fought with their whole bodies, using claws and fire and raw strength. Alara had none of those advantages, but she was quick and smart, and Kira taught her the pressure points, the ritual movements, the words of challenge that bound even dragons to their laws. "You're going to die," Kira said on the evening of the second day, her voice hollow. "I'm teaching you how to die with honor, and I hate it. Then teach me how to survive. There is no survival against the matriarch. Alara, please, run with me. We'll leave together, find somewhere they'll never look. And abandon my people? I can't do that. Then let me stand with you. We'll face them together." Alara cupped Kira's face in her hands. "If you fight, they'll kill you instantly as a traitor. This way, at least one of us might survive." On the third morning, the dragons returned. The entire court assembled in the main courtyard, surrounded by thousands of Alara's subjects who had come to witness their queen's fate. The 5 dragons landed and shifted, with Vera at their front. Behind them, descending from the clouds like a falling star, came the matriarch herself. She was magnificent and terrifying. Even in human form, she radiated power. Her hair was black, streaked with fire red, her eyes ancient and merciless. She stood half again as tall as Alara, with scales visible at her temples and throat, gleaming like rubies. "Have you made your decision, human queen?" the matriarch asked, her voice resonating with centuries of authority. Alara stepped forward. Kira stood behind her, trembling but silent. "I have. I invoke the right of Cathar. Single combat between us. If I win, Kira goes free and our peoples have peace. If you win, you may do as you wish." The matriarch's eyes widened slightly, the first sign of surprise. "You know our laws. Impressive. But do you know what you're asking? I will not hold back, human. I will kill you. I know. And you still choose this. For her?" The matriarch glanced at Kira with something like contempt. "For a traitor. For my friend." A long silence fell over the courtyard. Then the matriarch smiled. A cold, predatory expression. "So be it. I accept your challenge. We fight at sunset. Prepare yourself, little queen. I will make your death swift, if not painless." The hours until sunset were a blur. Alara's advisors begged her to reconsider. Her guards offered to fight in her place, but she refused them all. Kira stayed with her, silent and pale, helping her into the ritual combat armor, light leather that would offer little protection but honored the old ways. "I'm sorry," Kira whispered as she fastened the last strap. "This is all my fault." "No, and I don't regret it. If you die, then make sure it meant something. Live, Kira. Live free and happy. That's all I want." As the sun began to set, they walked together to the center of the courtyard. A circle had been drawn in salt, the traditional boundary for ritual combat. The matriarch waited inside, having already removed her outer robes to reveal armor made of her own scales, red as blood, harder than steel. Alara kissed Kira's forehead. "Whatever happens, thank you for being my friend." Then she stepped into the circle. The matriarch wasted no time. The moment Alara crossed the salt line, she attacked. Her hand became claws mid-swing, slashing toward Alara's throat. Alara ducked, rolled, came up with her short blade, the only weapon allowed, and struck at the matriarch's side. The blade skittered off scales without leaving a mark. "Futile," the matriarch said, and backhanded Alara across the circle. Alara hit the ground hard, tasting blood. She forced herself up. The matriarch was toying with her, she realized. This was supposed to be a lesson, a demonstration of dragon superiority. But Kira had taught her one crucial thing. Dragons respected courage above all else. Alara charged. The matriarch laughed and swatted her down again. And again. Each time, Alara got up. Her face was bloodied, her ribs cracked, but she kept rising. "Stay down," the matriarch commanded. "You've shown your courage. Die with dignity." "Not yet." Alara spat blood and raised her blade. "Not while I can still stand." Something flickered in the matriarch's ancient eyes. Respect? Curiosity? It didn't matter. She shifted then, her body growing, scales spreading, wings erupting from her back. In seconds, a full dragon stood in the circle, 20 feet of muscle and fire and death. The crowd gasped. Kira screamed. Full transformation in ritual combat was allowed, but rare. It was considered dishonorable unless the opponent was truly worthy. The matriarch's jaws opened, and fire built in her throat. Alara stood her ground. She had no defense against dragonfire. She would burn and die, and it would be over, but she would die standing. The fire roared toward her, and Kira was there. She had shifted too, her smaller, scarred form intercepting the flames. She screamed as the fire washed over her, her own kin's fire burning her scales, but she held, protecting Alara with her own body. "No!" the matriarch roared, shifting back to human form. "What are you doing, traitor?" Kira collapsed, smoke rising from her burned scales. She looked up at the matriarch, at her clan members, at the hundreds of watching dragons and humans. Her voice was weak but clear. "She fought for me. A human queen fought a dragon matriarch for my freedom. You want to call me a traitor? Fine. I betrayed you for humans who showed me more honor and love in weeks than you showed me in a lifetime. And I'd do it again." She turned to Alara, still kneeling between her and the matriarch. "I'd do it again for her." The matriarch stared at them both. The courtyard was silent except for the crackling of small fires and Kira's labored breathing. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. "In 1,000 years, I have never seen such loyalty. Not from dragon to dragon, and certainly not from dragon to human." She stepped forward and placed her hand on Kira's head, a gesture of blessing in dragon culture. "You are no traitor. You are the bravest of us all. And you," she turned to Alara, "you are a queen worthy of legend. You were willing to die for friendship. That is not human weakness. That is strength my kind has forgotten." The matriarch raised her voice so all could hear. "The right of Carthar is ended. I declare Kira free of all charges, pardoned by my authority as matriarch. Furthermore, I declare peace between the dragon clans and the kingdom of Queen Alara. Let it be known that we have found honor among humans this day." Vera and the other dragon envoys dropped to one knee, acknowledging their matriarch's decree. Alara's people erupted in cheers, but Alara barely heard them. She had dropped beside Kira, cradling the dragon girl's burned form. "You idiot," Alara whispered, tears streaming down her face. "You beautiful, stupid idiot." Kira smiled weakly. "Couldn't let you have all the glory." Frederick worked through the night again, this time assisted by dragon healers, who had remained behind. They saved Kira's life, though the new scars would never fully fade. When Alara visited her the next morning, Kira was sitting up in bed, wrapped in bandages but alive. "You're supposed to be resting," Alara said. "So are you. You have 3 cracked ribs." They looked at each other and started laughing, then groaning because laughing hurt too much. "We're idiots," Alara said. "Complete idiots," Kira agreed. "But we're alive, and you're free." Kira's eyes filled with tears. "I'm free." Alara took her hand. "What will you do now? You could go back to your clans. The matriarch pardoned you." "I could," Kira said slowly. "But I think I'd rather stay here if you'll have me."
"As what?"
"Guest? Advisor? Friend. Just friend. That's all I've ever wanted to be." Alara smiled. "I think I can manage that." Outside the window, the sun rose over a kingdom forever changed. In the distance, dragons and humans worked together to draft the first treaty between their peoples, a document that would reshape the world. But in that quiet room, none of that mattered as much as 2 friends, one human and one dragon, who had taught each other that kindness was stronger than fear, and that loyalty could bridge any divide. Kira squeezed Alara's hand. "Thank you. For everything?" "Thank you for staying," Alara replied, "for not giving up, for showing me what real courage looks like. We showed each other." And in that moment, as morning light filled the room with gold, both of them knew that whatever came next, they would face it together. Queen and dragon, human and shifter, two souls who had found in each other something the world had tried to convince them: hope.